What payment were you hoping for? That's the first question most car salespeople ask you. Not the price, not the interest rate, the payment. And the moment you answer it, you've handed them the one number that lets them control everything else without you ever noticing. Here's the question this video is actually answering. If the monthly payment isn't the number that matters, what is? Because right now, across the country, people are signing car loans that feel affordable in the moment and cost them thousands more than they realize. Not because they're careless, because they were taught to ask the wrong question.
Let's go back to that dealership floor for a second. You've picked out the car. The salesperson turns to you and asks what payment you had in mind. Maybe you say $500, maybe $450. It feels like a normal question, the kind you'd ask yourself before any big purchase. But in the finance office, that number isn't the start of a conversation. It's the end of one. It's called payment packing, and here's how it works. Once you name a target payment, the finance manager now has a single job: hit that number, using whatever combination of price, interest rate, and loan length gets them there.
Notice what that means. They don't need to lower the price of the car. They don't need to give you a better rate. They just need to stretch the loan out long enough or roll enough extra costs into it until the monthly number lands where you're comfortable. You leave feeling like you negotiated well. You didn't negotiate anything. You just told them your budget, and they built a loan around it. This works because of something genuinely human. A $30,000 sticker price is abstract, hard to feel in your body, but $500 a month is concrete. It's rent. It's a bill. Your brain can actually process it. So dealerships built their entire sales process around the number your brain trusts, instead of the number that determines what you actually pay.
And it's gotten more aggressive lately, not less. As of early 2026, the average new car loan carries a monthly payment of $770. 1 in 5 new car buyers is now financing a vehicle with a payment above $1,000 a month. Those aren't people with bad judgment. Those are people who walked in focused on a monthly number and walked out with a loan built to disguise its real cost behind it. So before we go any further, the goal of this video isn't to make you feel foolish for thinking in monthly payments. It's to show you why that instinct, reasonable as it feels, is exactly the lever the entire industry is built to pull.
If a payment feels too high, there's an easy lever to pull to bring it down. Stretch the loan. 6 years ago, a 60-month car loan was standard. Now more than a third of new car buyers are financing for longer than 6 years. 72 months, sometimes 84. And on paper it works. The payment drops. The car feels affordable. Nothing about the moment of signing feels like a mistake. Here's what that stretch actually costs. Say you're financing $30,000 at a typical rate. Over 48 months, you'd pay around $500 a month and roughly $1,700 in total interest. Stretch that same loan to 72 months, and your payment drops to around $346, but your interest more than doubles, past $2,600. Push it to 84 months, and you're paying about $302 a month, but you've now handed over more than $3,000 just in interest, on top of a car that's depreciating the entire time you're paying it off.
That's the trade nobody says out loud in the finance office. A lower payment now in exchange for a longer window where you owe more than the car is worth. And that window matters more than it sounds like it should, because it sets up the next problem, the one that actually traps people. We'll get to that in a second. For now, just sit with this. A monthly payment tells you what leaves your account this month. It tells you nothing about how many months you'll be paying or how much of that payment is actually interest instead of ownership. Two people can have the identical $400 payment, one finishing in 4 years, one finishing in 7, one paying 2 or 3 times more in interest than the other. The payment looks the same. The loan is not. Now, here's where the long loan term actually catches up with people, and it's the part almost nobody sees coming until it happens to them.
Picture this. 3 years into an auto loan, life changes. Maybe a baby's on the way, and the 2-door doesn't work anymore. Maybe the car's been in for repairs twice this year, and it's starting to feel unreliable. So you go back to the dealership to trade it in for something else. And that's when you hear the number. The car's only worth, say, $18,000 on trade, but you
you still owe $24,000 on the loan. You're not starting your next purchase at zero. You're starting $6,000 in the hole before you've even picked out the next car. This isn't rare. It's closer to normal. In the first quarter of 2026, close to 31% of everyone trading in a car toward a new purchase was underwater like this, owing more than the car was worth. The average amount they owed past the car's value was over $7,100, a record for that time of year. And because that gap doesn't disappear, it gets rolled into the new loan. The dealership just folds it in, and your next car's loan starts thousands of dollars bigger than it needed to be before a single new payment is made.
Here's the part that should really land. Among buyers rolling negative equity into a new loan, over 90% end up in a loan of 72 months or longer just to keep the new payment manageable, and more than 4 in 10 stretch all the way to 84 months. The stretch from Section 2 and the underwater trade-in from this one aren't separate problems. They're the same problem, feeding itself. A long loan creates negative equity. Negative equity gets rolled into the next loan, and the next loan, to keep the payment low, gets stretched even longer. That's not bad luck. That's a cycle, and it's one a monthly payment will never show you you're inside of. So if the payment hides the term and it hides the trade-in trap, what else is it hiding? The interest rate itself. As of early 2026, the average interest rate on a new car loan sits at 6.39%. On a used car, it's more than double that, over 11%. But those are just averages. Your actual rate depends heavily on your credit score, and the spread is enormous. Buyers with excellent credit are financing new cars around 4.5%, while buyers with poor credit are seeing rates north of 16% on that same car. Here's why that matters more than people expect. Two buyers can walk into the exact same dealership, finance the exact same $30,000 car, and land on a nearly identical monthly payment just by adjusting the loan term to compensate for a worse rate. One of them pays around $5,000 in total interest. The other pays $11,000 or more for the same car because a longer term quietly absorbed the higher rate. If you only ever looked at the payment, you would never know which buyer you were. This is really the whole pattern of this video, stacked in one place. The payment can hide a longer term. It can hide interest that's nearly triple what someone else is paying. It can hide debt from your last car, folded invisibly into this one. Every lever the dealership has, price, rate, term, trade-in value, can be pulled to protect that one number you told them mattered most, while every other number gets worse. Which raises the real question. If the payment can't be trusted to tell you the truth about a loan, what can? Here's what to actually evaluate, in this order, before the payment ever enters the conversation. First, the out-the-door price. Not the payment, not even the sticker. The total price of the car, including tax, title, and fees, negotiated before financing is ever discussed. Dealerships want to talk payment first because it's harder to negotiate a number you never isolated. Separate them. Agree on price like you're paying cash, even if you're not. Second, the interest rate as its own line item. Get pre-approved by a bank or credit union before you ever walk onto the lot. It costs you nothing, and it means you already know what rate you actually qualify for, instead of trusting the finance office to hand you their first offer as if it's their best one. If the dealer can beat your pre-approval, great. Now you're negotiating from a position where you already have a walkaway number. Third, the loan term. And treat 60 months as your ceiling, not your starting point. If the only way to make a car fit your budget is stretching to 72 or 84 months, that's not a financing solution. That's the car telling you it doesn't fit your budget at all. Fourth, your total cost, the full amount you'll pay across the life of the loan, principal and interest combined. This is the one number a payment can never show you because a payment is a snapshot, and this is the whole picture. Any loan calculator will show it to you in seconds. Before you sign anything, look at that number, not the monthly one. Only after those four are locked in does the monthly payment get to enter the conversation. As a result, you check your math against, not a target you build a loan around. And if you're carrying negative equity from a current car,
Know that going in. Ask what your trade-in is actually worth from an independent source before you ever set foot on a lot, so nobody gets to surprise you with that number in the room where you have the least leverage to walk away.
So think back to that question. What payment were you hoping for?
It's not really a question. It's an invitation to hand someone else the wheel on price, rate, term, and everything that determines what this car actually costs you. You don't have to answer it. Not until you already know the price you're paying, the rate you qualify for, the term you're willing to accept, and the total number waiting at the end of it. The payment was never the number that mattered. It was just the easiest one to make you stop asking questions. If this changed how you'll walk into your next car deal, subscribe. This channel is built on exactly this. The parts of personal finance nobody explains clearly, broken down so you actually understand what you're agreeing to before you sign it.